Welcome back to the shop. Today we've got a tool that you've probably seen before. And when I say tool you've seen before, not the type, but the exact tool you've seen before. I'm going to put a link in the description to Scoutcrafter's video where it's called Marc's Billings bicycle wrench. And Scoutcrafter does a great job describing the inherent flaws of this wrench, so I'm not going to cover that again. So go watch his video first. And then what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to try to repair this. And repairing this isn't typically a good idea. However, it's sort of an exercise in what you can do with some simple tools. And this is really more of an experiment than anything. This is definitely not a how-to. Welding wrenches is typically not a good idea from the forums. I spent quite a bit of time last night reading The Practical Machinist about repairing tools and sort of the morality that goes along with this. Because if you have, this is a bicycle wrench, so this isn't a good exemplar, but if you had a larger wrench and you repaired it and put it back on in the tool crib or something for somebody else to use, and they came over and they got hurt using it, then you know it's probably not a good thing. And I'm trying to think of a good example, but you know, if you have a giant pipe wrench and somebody's out in the field, or I don't know, there's probably a million different scenarios in which you wouldn't want to, or you'd want to make it completely evident that the tool had been repaired and had been welded or whatever, that there was a defective tool at one point in time and it was trying to had somebody repaired it. Anyway, with this one, it's because there's really no consequence of this thing. If it breaks again, it's not going to be used on the space shuttle or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind this weld down, and I'm going to try to repair it with my flux core MIG welder. I do not have a TIG welder. I have a big arc welder and the little 115 volt flux core MIG. So I'm going to grind this out and do the best I can to try to bring this tool back to something that looks pretty decent. And as a comparative analysis here, I went out and bought another one. So Mark, if I hoop this thing, if I totally mess it up, then you know you'll be made whole again, and I'll send you this one. So anyway, I'm going to apologize right now if things go south. But this is an experiment. Like I said, I looked all over YouTube for people welding wrenches and things like that. I found nothing. So hopefully this will be this is again not recommended, but just in the interest of restoring tools and trying to keep it going. We'll see how this works out. So some of these shots are going to be a little bit finer, so it's going to be difficult. I'll do the best I can. It's going to be impossible to see the light. There's a little hole in the back, and they'd taken a drift, some sort of a peen, and rolled over that last thread. So I have to clean that up, and then I'll be able to back this this nut all the way out. But anyway, that shouldn't be too hard. I'll bring it back when I get this disassembled. Alright, so we've got the wrench apart now. There was the thread was rolled over, so I had to sort of pick out part of it with a key file and then unscrew it. So anyway, right now I've got to come in here and relieve some of this so I get some penetration with the welder, but there appears to be only just a small fragment holding this together, so I think I might have to preserve this crack initially, grind this out, weld it, grind this out, weld it, come back and grind this again, and come back, and then we'll have to polish this out and get it back into shape. So anyway, let's get to that. Alright, so I just quickly dressed down the welds here. They seem to be penetrating pretty good. There's some splatter on the outside. That's one of the downsides of the flux core welder. I really would like to use a gas shielded MIG, but anyway, for my shop, the little flux core one is super handy. You just turn it on, it goes. It doesn't do the prettiest welds, but you know, I'm not a welder. I never will be. But for just goof around tacking stuff together, it's very good. And I think, I mean, a TIG would be ideal for this from what I've read. But you know, even then, there's probably no perfect way to do this. So, so anyway, I'm just going to keep goofing around with this, and I burn through a little bit, which means I'm probably getting pretty good penetration if I'm burning through. So, I gotta fill a little bit in here. I don't know if that's hard for you to see, but I sort of burned through this top section here. So I'm gonna have to build this up a little bit, grind it back down, build it up, grind it back down, and then move my way around to the other side. That's gonna be, I want to focus on this, so I'm gonna bring you back when I make some more progress and not focus on the filming right now, because you're probably just looking at the back of my head while I weld anyway. So, Alright, so this is sort of a demonstration as to, or an example as to why I have so many die grinders. It's handy to be able to just go from one tool to another tool to another tool without having to monkey around changing things out. Like I said, it's obvious that I'm not a welder, but these look horrible right now. But I think that after I come through and once this cools down a little bit, I'll come back and grind these off, and we'll start to see what it looks like underneath it, and see if there's any inclusions or anything I need to grind out and burn back in. But anyway, I'm hopeful. We'll see what happens. Alright, so I've had this to just use the pneumatic tools, welded it, ground it down. I'm going to take this over to the belt sander now and start giving it a little bit the next level of cleanup. And if that doesn't take out any of these, there's not really inclusions, but there's a couple imperfections from place to place. Anyway, we'll just keep cleaning it up and addressing what needs to be addressed. So, but it's looking pretty good. I'm hopeful at this point. I keep forgetting to hit the damn record button. Now I've got some tiny little specks here, and this is coming out pretty good. I've got most all of it cleaned up. I don't know whether I should go back and, yeah, let me go back and hit that again. See if I can't get that little piece out of there. Alright, I've been back and forth to the welder a couple times. It just seems to be pulling the metal down in every time I go to weld that. It just sort of, I need to file the back, it's sort of bulging through a little bit. So that's like 3 different attempts, so I don't want to be insane here and keep trying things over expecting different results. So I'm just gonna start using the finer abrasives on this and getting this polished up. Alright, so I was polishing it up and I saw that the crack, I'd sort of gotten past it, or covered it up or something like that. But anyway, I've gone back and ground it back down again, and I'm going to go over and weld it, and then I'll bring it back. Alright, so I've been working on Marc's wrench. Marc, I'm going to send you this one, because I blew a hole through yours. I was welding it, while I was polishing it, I got to the polishing stage and I noticed a little imperfection in there. And I came back to try to rectify that, and I blew a hole right through it. If I had, I mean, at some point you got to cut your losses. If I had a T-slot cutter and I wanted to just fill this all full of weld and put this on the milling machine or something like that, I don't have a milling machine here. But anyway, it'd be possible to repair this thing after blowing a hole in it, but you know, at some point you gotta control your losses. Just cut your losses, I should say. So anyway, I screwed this one up. It was coming together pretty nicely, but you know, it wasn't meant to be, I suppose. So anyway, I apologize for that. Marc, I know you like restoring tools, so I've got this exact match Billings bicycle wrench that is not cracked. It has not been molested in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to get this in the mail to you. And anyway, hope you have fun restoring this one. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to try to fix this one. I think the takeaway from this is that it is possible to weld tools that aren't necessarily real thin, but the ability to doesn't necessarily mean that you should. I think that's the takeaway. So sometimes you break something, you throw it away, you go get a new one. It's probably possible, but it's probably something that I don't recommend doing. So anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, have a good day.